Hey guys, so welcome back to Mystical Visions. Now, I was away for a week because I was quite ill and literally couldn't talk. I'm back and I wanted to get a quick video out for you guys today. So in today's reading, we're going to take a look at a message that you need to hear right now. I'm going to keep this quite open-ended and we'll just have a look at whatever's coming in. So I have 3 piles out for you guys today. Pile number 1 is the Star. For pile 2, we have the Devil in reverse. And for pile 3, we have the Queen of Swords. So go ahead and pick whatever card resonates with you for your message on what you need to hear right now. And the timestamps are in the description below, and I'll see you guys at your pile. Okay, pile number 1. If you chose the Star card, then this is your reading. So right away, the Star talks about optimism and looking forward to something. So this is definitely encouraging. So let's take a look at your cards. So the way I've laid them out is these are our 4 main messages. And we have 2 clarifiers and 2 pieces of advice for you. So let's take a look. The 10 of Swords, the 2 of Wands in reverse, and the 7 of Coins in reverse. Okay, pile number 1. It feels a little bit like you have just gone through an ending with the 10 of Swords that has kind of forced you to stop looking at the past and the future and just thrown you smack dab into the present moment. And it might, with the 7 of Coins in reverse, it might be something that has pushed you to maybe dip into your savings or go through like a financial hardship of some sort. Yeah, this definitely feels like a sudden financial burden, a sudden loss, as much as I hate that word because nothing is truly a loss, really. But personal feelings aside, this definitely feels like an encouragement for you to look forward to the next thing, because it feels like whatever happened had to happen, because if it wasn't meant to happen, it wouldn't have happened. But whatever happened, I think the purpose of it was to force you into a brand new beginning, was to force you to look at what comes next, to look at the present moment and understand where the things that you've invested your time and money in weren't really serving you. Let's look at the clarifiers. We have the 9 of Wands and Judgment. Yeah, whatever happened, pile number 1, whatever it is that you've gone through just now, I feel like it was definitely a wake-up call, really, from the universe, not just, for you randomly, but a wake-up call that was divinely orchestrated. It feels a little bit like you really didn't want to have to face this, but deep down, I feel like you knew. I feel like, because do you see how she's clutching that doll? It feels a little bit like your inner child. That doll to me feels a little bit like the inner child. And I think your inner child was already telling you, like, this is not a good investment. There is some fear here. I don't know if this is necessarily about money, but it definitely feels like a significant investment because we have two major arcanas. So that to me suggests that at the time you felt like this was it, this was what you were going to do, maybe for the rest of your life. Maybe you invested in a business that didn't work out, or maybe you invested in a relationship that didn't work out, a partnership of some sort. And it definitely feels a little bit like somewhere deep down you felt like, this may not be it, but I'm feeling divinely called to do it anyway. And that's, perfectly fine. Sometimes we get called to go through dramatic things so we can learn and grow from them, and we can help other people who have gone through those things. It doesn't mean that, your intuition was wrong or you were divinely misled or anything like that. But I do think that you're getting to a stage where you're realizing that, hey, maybe the signs were always there. Maybe I ignored them, or maybe there were no signs. Maybe this was the perfect situation, but it's time to move on now. So sorry if all of this has been out of focus this whole time, by the way. But it definitely feels like whatever you went through was not a fluke. It wasn't like a mistake or anything like that, because I do feel like you were divinely guided then. But I also feel like you're divinely guided now to move forward from that. Because the thing is, we keep being brought to the same lessons over and over again until we've learned them, and then we can move on, right? And I feel like whatever this is, I feel like you have definitely learned your lesson, because while it starts as, heartbreak, it then ends with like a more practical view of, hey, maybe this was just a bad investment, as opposed to, oh, my soul is crushed, So I feel like you're definitely very guarded now. And there's this feeling of like, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to trust anyone or any signs again, or I'm never going to, work towards this thing again. I'm never going to indulge myself again. And I don't think that's necessarily the lesson to take here. I think you definitely want to work on... Yeah, that was a loud bike. I feel like that was confirmation. I feel like you definitely want to work on moving forward, while maintaining, the lessons from this experience. But also, moving forward, don't allow yourself to become jaded by this experience, by this loss, or by this ending. Because of course, like every ending is a new beginning, of course. But at the same time, I feel like sometimes we have to go through these things in order to learn the lessons that we need to as a soul, and to grow and evolve as a person on this planet. So I think the message here for you is to acknowledge that, maybe there is an ending coming my way, or this ending that I'm going through was meant to happen. But also, that does not mean that I made a mistake. That does not mean that this was wrong of me to do these things. That does not mean that I'm at fault here, that, I should never have done this, or I should never have invested in this. Not true at all. I think you were meant to invest in this, and you were meant to go through this ending. For the lessons and for the experiences and for, all the things that happened through this process that did make you happy, that you did enjoy about this. Okay, so let's take a look at your advice. So we have you're not alone, isolation, physical connection, community. Yeah, I feel like you might be a little tempted to go inwards right now, to disconnect and to maybe be like, you know what, people disappoint me, or situations that involve people tend to disappoint me. I'm just going to cut away. But the clear message here, the clear advice here is to not force yourself into an isolation if you don't feel like it. If it doesn't, I feel like you're at this point where you're pushing yourself into isolation because you feel like it will help, but it's not like you want to. Yeah, I think the the overall theme of your reading today is to just indulge what you want. Maybe it will have bad consequences or good consequences, but just because something doesn't go exactly the way you planned does not mean that it's your fault, and it does not mean that you stop indulging all the whims and fancies of your soul. Because at the end of the day, the whole point of life is to live, so there's no point hiding yourself away in the sense of like, I'm not going to do whatever I want because the last time I tried that, it didn't work out and it hurt me. Yeah, okay, maybe it did. And maybe the next time will hurt you and the time after that, but there will be times that won't hurt you, and those times are worth trying for. So your final card for today is is play. Have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. I mean, yeah, that's what we've been talking about today, is to just, okay, maybe this went wrong, but that's okay. You can always try again. And maybe this didn't work out exactly the way you wanted it to, and that's okay. Just, play. Allow yourself the grace that you would maybe a child. You know how with children, if they get into an argument with their parents, eventually the parent is like, you know what? This is a child, does not know any better, and it is my job to move forward from this, right? One day this child will grow up and know better and make better choices. And the parent only knows this, has this wisdom because they have done it and they've had people give them the grace to go through this and to learn from it, right? And to choose better next time. So I think you're being called to give yourself that grace, to allow yourself to come to terms with this. Wow, I just fully zoned out. To allow yourself to come to terms with this loss or ending, to allow yourself to work through it and process everything that you need to process, and to move forward, to try something new next time. Keep the lessons, let go of the heartbreak. That's your message. So that's all I have for you today, pile number one. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. I really hope this has been helpful and it's brought you some clarity and guidance. If this resonated, make sure to hit that thumbs up and comment below. I'm rooting for you. You can do it. You can allow yourself to try something new tomorrow. But for today, thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile number 2, if you picked the Devil card in reverse, then this is your reading. Welcome. I immediately heard, whew, now you're free. Now you are free to do whatever you want. It feels like you were trapped in some way. It feels a little bit like you were, what's the word? It almost feels like you owed someone something, or you owed someone your time. It feels a little bit like you were living in someone's shadow, but not quite. Not in like a comparison way, but in like, I need to watch what I do because of what this person may think, or I need to watch what I do because of how it reflects on them. And I feel like you are definitely free from that right now. But let's take a look, because it's very interesting. We have death. We have the 8 of Cups in reverse. And the Ace of Cups. Okay, so I fully forgot to explain the spread today, because I was so intrigued by your message. But basically, the way I've laid this out is these are your 4 main message cards, and we have 2 clarifiers, and we have 2 advice oracle cards. Okay, back to the message. I feel like you're this feels like a relationship of some sort. Now, it doesn't have to be romantic, although the Ace of Cups does indicate a new beginning, and it's generally associated with romance, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. But it feels a bit like either you're going through an ending or you're being called to end something. Because with the 8 of Cups reverse, it almost feels like you're refusing to walk away. Or it feels like you're being prompted to walk away, but you haven't yet. Yeah, the honking. Yeah, definitely. It feels like you're definitely being called that it's time to leave, because something new is coming very, very soon. And if you're still caught up in this awful contract of whatever this is, you might regret it. It's definitely time to step away. This is so interesting, because I feel like somewhere deep down, sorry, there's a bit of fur here. I have a dog. So there's fur on literally everything. There's fur on my soul at this point. But I feel like there's a bit of fear with this ending, which is, understandable. There's fear with every ending. Endings are supposed to be scary. That's why they're so dramatic, and that's why they bring so much change. But it almost feels like a comfort zone thing, where I feel like the reason you're not walking away is because even though this is uncomfortable, it is a familiar uncomfort or discomfort. Whereas something new, it might go really, really well, but it might, go worse. I'm not saying it might, but that's the sort of thinking, the protective mechanism in our minds. So we tend to stick to the familiar even if it hurts us. But I feel like it's time, pile 2. I feel like it's way past time that you left. Whatever the situation is, whoever this person is. I feel like, and of course, only take that message if it resonates, if you're perfectly happy, and this does not resonate, then this is clearly not your pile. But I feel like if you're watching this, and I feel like you might be feeling a little attacked right now, because I'm just straight up calling you out, but that's okay. You can feel whatever you want, but as long as it gets you to move forward and ask for better for yourself, I'm happy. But yeah, whatever this contract is, now it could be paperwork, but it feels a little more like an unspoken contract or like an unwritten contract. Oh, in fact, if there is paperwork involved, if there is assets involved, definitely get a contract, because otherwise it might go against you. So if this is something like, dissolving a company or getting a divorce or, anything that involves legal ramifications, definitely get something in writing, because, it is the smart thing to do in it. But also, I feel like you're definitely being called to be a little cautious. Maybe that's why the Eight of Cups is in reverse, because before you walk away, make sure you've like crossed your T's and dotted your I's before you get to this ending. But it is definitely time for the ending, because something new is desperate to come into your life. Pile number 2. So let's look at your clarifiers. We have the Empress in reverse. Straight away, I'm hearing... So this is something I hear often when I've invested too much energy into something that's not serving me. I hear is trying to grow a plant on barren soil, on barren land. And that's what I'm hearing. Pile 2. It feels like you want change, but you want change while keeping the same situation. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you want how you are treated to change. You want to be treated differently. You want to be treated better. But at the same time, you don't want to ask to be treated better, or you don't want to... You don't want to lose whatever you have, but at the same time, you know that there isn't really much to lose anyway. But it's like you're trying to grow a plant on barren land. It's not gonna work. I'm so sorry. You have the Queen of Cups as your other clarifier. So the Queen of Cups usually talks about... The queens are usually indicator of water energy anyway, so double water here. This is definitely an emotional thing. It's definitely most likely not about like dissolving a company or whatever I was talking about earlier. This feels like a relationship that's breaking down. Pile number 2. And if that's the case, you have my utmost support for going through this, because it's not easy. But, at what point do we decide, hey, this is not right for me. I deserve better. Because do you see how the Queen of Cups is the only cup card where there's like a hand covering the cup. And to me, this feels like you are someone who has overgiven. You have given and given and given to this person. And you're getting to a point within yourself where you're like, you know what, enough. I've given enough. My cup is not being appreciated. The love that I give is not being appreciated. It's going into barren land. There's no point of me continuing to nurture this, and it's not doing anything for me or for anyone really, because my love and appreciation would be much better used for someone who would actually appreciate it, So Yeah, it definitely feels like it's time for an ending, pile two. There's nothing else I can tell you that would make more sense than, what's right in front of us. It's time to step away. It's time to put yourself through this Eight of Cups situation, to put yourself through this Eight of Cups decision, and to choose better for yourself, Paul, too. So let's look at the advice we have for you. So we have star bathing, light body, crystal grid, transmission, activation. Yeah, do you see? I feel like you're going through an awakening that has brought you to this point where I feel like you went through a period of darkness, of like void, of recognizing really more than anything else. I feel like my throat is going a little hoarse. I feel like your voice has been stifled for way too long, Pal 2, and it's time to say what you need to say. But with this, do you see how she's lying on the ground and she's being activated by all these energy spheres and all these stars? I feel like you're going through an activation of some sort, even if it's something as human as realizing that you deserve to be treated better, or if it's something as divine as, a Kundalini awakening, or like an awakening of any kind, really. But it feels like it's time. That's what I keep hearing. It's time. It's high time. It's about time you left. It's about time you moved on. Pal 2. So our final piece of advice today says, Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. Hang on, I'm being called to read from the book for this one, so let's have a look. So, interesting. This card is on page 88. I don't know if that means anything to you, but, so, do you see 88? 8 is the number of abundance, right? Yeah. So, I'm just going to skim through it. Anna, grandmother of Jesus, was an ancient mystic who dedicated her life to laying the foundations for Christ consciousness to be woven through all of life. Represents the quiet dedication that is sometimes required to live a life of service. She represents the generations that came before that devoted their lives to dreaming a new world into being. One person's part is not worthier than another. One person's part may be to mother their children, another's may be to gather women in circle each month. No part is better or worse, more important or less significant. So maybe you've been in a situation where your role in whatever relationship this was has been very undermined, very underappreciated, rather. Maybe, you're not being seen for what you do, for all the things that you do. And maybe it's time to speak up about that. And before you speak up about it, I think it's time to recognize within yourself just how important you are to this dynamic. Because without you, like, every relationship is made of at least two people, right? And without one person, the entire dynamic falls apart. So I think it's important to remind yourself of your role in maintaining whatever dynamic this is, and to remind yourself that it's time to activate. It's time to acknowledge who you are and what you're doing for whoever this is or whatever situation this is. And it's time to, I want to say it's time to, ask for change, but I feel like you've already been through it and I feel like nothing is changing. And in that case, there's only one outcome, Pearl 2, and it's time to walk away. So whatever you choose, know that you are empowered and know that you deserve everything that you want for yourself. You've given more than enough. You've done more than enough. It's time to receive. It's time to fill up your own cup. It's time to allow the divine to fill your cup. But whatever you choose, make sure that you're putting yourself first, because you've put yourself last enough. So that's the message I have for you today, Pearl number 2. It was a little heavy, but I really hope it helped anyway. And if it resonated, make sure to hit the thumbs up and comment down below. I wish you nothing but the best, whatever you choose, Pearl 2, and know that you can do this. So yeah, thank you so much for letting me read for you, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile number 3, welcome to your reading. So if you chose the Queen of Swords, then this is your reading for a message that you need to hear right now. So the way I've laid these cards out is these are your 4 main message cards. We have 2 clarifiers, and we have 2 advice cards. Okay, so let's dive in. So with the Queen of Swords, have you been in a situation recently where you felt like you had to put your foot down, Pearl 3? Because that's the vibe I'm getting today. I feel like you've been in I want to say teacher mode, but when teachers have to step in and take charge because kids are just doing stupid things. And you have to be the grown-up and be like, actually, you know what? Stop it. We're not doing this anymore. I'm in charge here, and I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. I feel like that's kind of something you've had to do recently. But let's have a look-see. We have the 5 of Cups in reverse. The 8 of Wands in reverse. And the Moon. Interesting. I'm straight away hearing set the pace. I feel like whatever situation this is referring to, and I feel like if you've picked this pile, you probably know where you've had to put your foot down. Whatever this situation is, I feel like it was spiraling a little out of your control. It was moving a little too fast. And I think you've put your foot down and almost made a decision for everyone, not just for yourself. And in doing so, you've shown people that that this situation is salvageable. Because the 5 of Cups upright talks about only seeing loss and not really seeing how you can salvage the situation. That's the only word that keeps coming to my mind. So to have it in reverse makes me feel like you've figured it out. I feel like you've figured out how to make the most out of the situation. But in order to do that, you've had to tell people to stop it, sit down, and let me do this. Because with the Moon here, the moon usually talks about not having clarity or things that are hidden in the shadows. But to me here, it's feeling a little bit like mother energy of where you have the wisdom to know better. It's that intuition rather than just wisdom from experience. It feels a bit like your intuition has forced you to step in and take charge of a situation. That is so interesting. I'll give you an example, right? Say, for instance, you've started a new group project and everyone has taken this topic. Say you had an idea for like an entrepreneurial venture with a couple of friends, and your friends have just straight up taken the idea and run with it and been like, okay, we can, buy an office space, and we can buy several phone lines, and we can buy several computers, and we can, do this and that. We can share on social media. We can share on like billboards, things like that. And you've had to step in and be the voice of reason and be like, actually, guys, we don't have a product yet. And you've almost had to take on the role of a parent, but in the sense of you've had to step in and be the responsible one. And if you haven't done it yet, that's definitely where this should be going. Yeah, if you haven't stepped in and if you feel like things are spiraling out of control and that you're not able to ground, you're definitely being called to step in and take charge, because everyone else involved in the situation is going a little crazy. I'm not trying to be mean, but I mean, like, everyone is a little hyper aware, a little hyper excited about this venture or situation, and no one is really thinking with their brains on. So let's take a look at some clarifiers, because this is such a fun situation. It's probably not fun for you, but it's fun for me as a reader because it's like unusual. We have the King of Wands and the Five of Swords in reverse. Yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. You're definitely being called to take a leadership position, because with the King of Wands, wands talk about passion and excitement and that fire, but the King of Wands knows how to channel that passion. The King of Wands knows at what pace to go. The King of Wands knows when it's appropriate to just go all out and when it's time to rein it in and make some smart decisions. With the Five of Swords in reverse, I feel like there might be a fear here. If you haven't stepped in yet, there might be a bit of fear here of, is it my place to lead? Is it going to cause conflict? Is it going to, break this team apart if I try to step in and take charge? It's not, because, the Five of Swords, which is the conflict card, is in reverse. So don't even worry about that. We have two fives in reverse, and fives upright usually talk about change. So that's really interesting that both... Oh, okay. So the imagery on both of these cards, I don't know if the camera's going to focus, but it's someone with their heads in their hands, just like with, crying or just upset or frustrated. So it feels a little bit like everyone's getting to the point of frustration and not knowing where to go, just because there's so much going on. So you're definitely being called to step in and be a leader here and to almost guide but not in like a mental way, but rather to be like the grounding presence in this situation. That's so interesting. Okay, so let's take a look at your advice cards. We have empathic starseed, energetic sovereignty, absorbing what's not yours. Interesting. Why is this here? I feel like you're almost at a point where you are surrounded by this frantic, chaotic energy of like, oh, I don't know what to do, where to go from here. And it's kind of starting to get to you, if I'm going to be honest, pile number 3. It's starting to affect you a little bit, and that's not okay because you're the last hope for this group. So you need to definitely ground. Yeah, have I been saying ground yourself this whole time? I feel like I have been. And you're definitely being called to ground your energy and not give in to the stir crazy soup that is going on around you. Definitely protect your energetic sovereignty. Pile number 3. And don't allow... It's not so much about, don't allow these people to affect you, but it's more like don't allow yourself to forget the original vision, if that makes sense. Don't let yourself lose why you started, lose a sense of why you started this journey or this project or whatever it is you're doing. Yeah. Okay. Final card. We have the ever unfolding rose cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. Yeah, this definitely feels like a situation where things are feeling like they're about to fall apart. Like everything is so tightly wound, and it feels like it's spiraling out of control. Because you know how when flowers, this imagery is making me think of when flowers, especially flowers with lots of petals, when they kind of unfurl, it kind of feels like they're going to fall apart, but they don't. So I just heard allow it. Okay. What are you saying? Yeah, allow. Okay. So whatever is happening around you, it may feel chaotic, but you're definitely being called to stand firm in yourself. Allow whatever needs to fall, and allow it to fall into whatever position it wants to fall. But you need to be like, the center of a flower where all these petals are unfurling around you, but they're not going to go anywhere because they are all connected to the same base, to the same core. And if it feels a little bit like your life is chaotic, but not in that you're chaotic, maybe you feel like you are stuck in place while the world around you is moving, or like you are forced to stay the same when everyone around you is going through their growth and their journeys, whereas your life is pretty much the same as it always has been. I just had a massive coughing fit. Interesting. Maybe that's the feeling of why am I stagnant when the world around me is moving. But maybe pile 3, for the moment, you are to be that grounding presence, that stable presence in the lives of the people that you love who are going through all this chaos. You are the stillness that they need. And tomorrow, when your life starts to pick up speed as well, they will have gone through this and they will have found their grounding and their stability, and then they will be, yeah, thank you. We've had a honk pretty much every single pile today when I hit the nail on the head. So I feel like I've hit the nail on the head for you guys. Yeah, when you're being still, you're being that spot of calm for all the people who are going through chaos. One day they're going to return the favor. One day when your life is picking up speed and becoming chaotic or just faster paced, these people will know what you've done for them, and they're going to be able to hold that space for you because you helped them get there. That's so interesting. Do not be discouraged if your life feels a little slower paced than the people around you, because one day the inverse is going to be true. So that's the message I have for you today, Pal 3. Very interesting. Yeah, I hope it brought you some clarity and some words of encouragement. If it did, then please do remember to hit the thumbs up and comment below. And yeah, sorry. Yeah, subscribe to my channel for more readings. Come say hi on Instagram, you know the drill. But yeah, thank you so much for letting me read for you. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.